72 written by the good folks.
And we're recording. Hello and welcome to season 2 of Cultural Osmosis, the podcast with the mostest. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Ben Chapman. Why don't you wave to the audience, all thousands of them? No, I'm kidding. So, Ben, you were here for the Avatar episode, so this will be quite interesting. This will be the part 2, I guess, the Korra episode. Now I can finally get your full opinion on it, and I don't have to restrain my spoilers when I'm talking about the series.
Yeah, it came out on Netflix, and I was finally able to watch it, which is
You
good.
you watched 4 seasons in like 2 days.
Yeah, I noticed it was on Netflix on like late Thursday night and watched a couple episodes, and then I finished it by Saturday night.
That is ridiculous. You're just like, all right, wake up, start Korra. All right, it's bedtime.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, with that said, then, what was your overall opinion? Like, do you think it was better? Do you think it's not as controversial as people say? Do you think it was just average? Like, what was your impression overall?
I think that it starts out really strong, and then as the seasons, like as you go through the seasons, it just kind of loses. Uh, Although season 3 is pretty good, but like season 4, I just didn't really enjoy all that much. I don't think that it was as strong as the rest. It feels like they should have done a 4th season of Avatar and done Zuko's search for his mom instead of 4 seasons of Korra.
No, yeah, I agree entirely. It's so weird because it was like season 4 of Korra was like they didn't have their heart in it, and it was so boring that I remember I got halfway through and I was like, this is a struggle. I would have much rather seen what happened with Zuko's mom. But yeah, I agree. I think honestly the best season is season 1. I was like, season 1 is such a fun time. Like you should have just kept it going.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
especially like with your first journey into Republic City, like it's just they immerse you in that 1930s-esque, 1940s, whatever decade it was. But like they immerse you in that, and the radio like type announcer at the beginning
hmm
that does like explains what happens last episode, that like fits really well. But I feel like once you get into some of the later seasons, since they're not really like in season 3 they aren't in Republic City anymore, and so it kind of
hmm
uh and even season 2 they're not in Republic City, so it kind of like changes the feel
hmm
of it still.
I really liked that city. It was like Avatar future retro, because Aang and his adventure was very much medieval. And then like Korra was like, what if it was futuristic Avatar? Like what if like there was a guy working in a power plant and he was a firebender? It was like, well, that's kind of an interesting idea. Also, the villain was just better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Season 1 had the best villain.
He was so cool. Yeah, like it was finally a villain where it was like I'm defending like the 2/3 of the population that are like Sokka that don't get to bend. Yeah, they're kind of angry, so I'm representing them, which I thought was an interesting idea.
Yeah, and I think even with the plot twist and you find out who he really is, I still
hmm
feel like his motivation is still, it's not the same. It's not like defending from Benders like what you think. It's getting revenge on the city and the Avatar for his father.
hmm
And I really like that too, because the motivation is still strong, like super strong.
It's also one of the few times you see a character just like straight up get murdered. Like it's a kid show and like they get murdered. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God. When they're on that boat and he's got the gauntlet and he's like about to like, oh my God. Like shocking. Which is why it was like when season 2 came around and the entire season was in the South or North Pole, I was like, this is a lot slower, I would say.
Yeah. I still enjoyed it just because of it changed some things I think with the lore, but I still enjoyed like getting to see that type of aspect of it, you
Hmm.
know?
That was my problem. Season 2 was like it changed all of the lore, which really bothered me. It was like uh the in the Last Airbender, this is like a really niche complaint, but it really bothers me to my core. And I have a lot of the same problems with like Star Wars, where like a sequel really changes the lore. But it's like The Last Airbender established in my favorite episode, The Cave of Two Lovers, it established that people learned bending from magical animals. Like earthbending was learned from badger moles, firebending was learned from dragons, and so airbending from air bison, and so on. Then season 2 of Korra was like, nah, it's not like that at all. People, there were these tribes that lived on the back of turtles, and they left the turtles, and the turtles gave them bending, and then they got trapped, and then there was this one thief, and it was like, what's happening? Like, what did you do to the lore?
Yeah, yeah. The Cave of Two Lovers. I was just thinking about that. That song has been stuck in my head for like a couple weeks now, so
Since the last podcast.
probably. But yeah, it does change like how they got it, and that was I like seeing like the history of the Avatar, but them changing stuff like they did to where like the lion turtles are the ones
Hmm.
that give the humans the powers. That changes a lot of
Hmm.
like the history of it.
Well, I really liked it. It was like humans and animals worked together to learn bending. That was cool. Also, it changed the like you said. It was like the last Airbender was like. I'm so sorry, like coffee's coming back up. The last Airbender was like the Avatar keeps coming back through reincarnation. Season 2 of Korra was like, no, there's this weird spider spirit that possesses this person and it transfers, and then Korra accidentally kills the spider spirit thingy, and then it got really weird in season 2.
Yeah, I don't know how they cleaned it up in like the sloppiest way, I think, too, in that last episode. Like, oh, how can Rava die, but like Korra is
Hmm.
still the Avatar? And I feel like like they had a 6-year-old just be like, let it be the kid.
That's true. Yeah, and then when the climax of season 2, when they became giant Godzillas and they fought each other, I was like, this is how this is gonna wrap up. Like, oh, it becomes mecha, like it's like a Power Rangers
It's
episode.
Pacific Rim.
It was Pacific Rim because they were even like in the ocean. That was so funny. Uh, yeah. And then the last thing I want to say about retcons before we move on was another stupid thing. Season 4 of Korra established, this is like all these niche complaints that no one else would have, but like season 4 of Korra established that airbenders shaving their head is a sign of becoming a master. That means that Aang, before he ran away, had reached the rank of master.
And all of his friends.
And all of his friends. He's
Like
like 10.
I could get maybe like you're like, oh, the Avatar he picks up on stuff fast. He's like naturally good at airbending. Might make sense. But all of his friends in his memories have shaved heads.
Yeah, there was like, man, we're just, like I could be at like somebody binged Last Airbender and they were like, "Hey creators, how come all airbenders are bald?" And be like, "Oh crap. Why are all airbenders bald?" It means they have a black belt. They have a black belt in airbending. That's what that means.
Yeah, no, that I didn't even think about that one, but it totally makes sense now that you point that out.
It's just like these are all there's like 1,000 of these little things throughout Korra where I was like, I really want to like this series, but you keep doing things like this that like destroy the original. But anyway, enough about my super niche retcons. I think the thing I want to mention is I think season 3 uh it was very fan servicey in the way that but I really loved season 3. It was like we're finally gonna answer all these fan questions like can earthbenders lava bend and stuff like that, and like can airbenders fly? This is going to be the season where we answer all these fan questions. And I was like, so season 3 was pretty cool for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like you knew he was gonna lava bend at some point, uh, and it was just coming down to the right moment. At least I did. I didn't think he would ever metal bend. And as soon as I saw the lava bender, I was like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
he's definitely a lava bender now. Like, and that was just cool. And I thought the villain, the motivation was they don't really explain the Red Lotus all
Hmm.
too much. Like, yeah, they're like the opposing group of the White Lotus, but other than that, like I still think the villains are really good. Like this group of villains, kind of like a Sinister Six from Spider Man.
Everybody's coming together. Uh, no, I really liked because it was finally like there was kind of this running joke that like if you were an airbender, you got the short straw, like you had the weakest bending. But then season 3 was like, no, airbenders can like straight up murder people real bad, like the Earth Queen, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, earthbender, like airbenders can actually put up a fight. And I was like, okay, so they're pretty evenly balanced. And then
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
that is some powerful stuff that he's able to pull off.
Hmm.
Brutal. That'd be a way to die.
I remember watching that scene and being like, that is the worst way to go. Never want to cross an airbender.
Yeah,
Like,
burn me in lava, throw rocks on me. Just
anything.
don't do that to me.
Hmm. Yeah. So overall, as soon as Bolin like couldn't master metal bending, I was like, well, it's gonna be lava bending, but whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that was my thoughts. And then, as we agree, season 4 was really dry. I think just an overall meh of a season. But with that said, in retrospect, uh, well, I'm real curious. Who was your favorite like character that you rooted for? And then we can talk a bit about Korra too.
Do they have to be like a main character?
What do you like? Pabu, the
No, 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 no. I was
my
thinking Varric.
oh, Varric's my favorite. Good. I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
Varric,
Uh,
every oh god.
he comes out in season 2, and immediately I'm just like, okay, this guy is gonna do something bad somewhere down the line, and he doesn't let me down. But his personality is just so hilarious, and the whole thing with Julie,
Julie,
uh,
do the thing.
yes, and that is fantastic.
Okay, I will say the only reason to watch season 4 is him and Julie. Like, oh my god, I want their spinoff.
Oh my gosh. You knew like right away when she says that she never like cared about him and she like betrays them. I like as soon as that happened, I'm like, that's not true. Like, did anyone just see the stuff that she did to try to save him when he was totally gonna die when those mecha tanks were chasing him?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Oh my
she was
god.
able to use hers and he was a bumbling mess.
Julie. Anytime he was on screen, I was blissfully happy. It was so funny. He's like the mad Monopoly man of the Avatar world. But um, yeah, I'm glad we agree. So you didn't like Bolin and Maka, Mako?
I like enjoy them, but they're like I just think yeah, Bolin to me it's I don't know if he's just like in season 2 so happy about like finally being famous that he's just completely blind,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. Especially like when your brother is telling you something that you've been through so much hard stuff together, it just seems
Hmm.
weird to me that you wouldn't at least believe him a little bit.
Yeah. Um, yeah, season 2, Bolin kind of became a jerk, but I guess that was part of his arc. I don't know. I thought they were all right. It was like it's very much like how can we update Team Avatar for the next generation, and I thought it was quite interesting. Mako was a little angsty, but I mean that just goes with the territory. Um,
I will say I do like Asami.
she was cool, yeah, and
Yeah,
like
she. She showed up
Mhm.
like halfway through season 1, and
Mhm.
then like by the end of season 1, you're like, okay, she's a non-bender, but she has got some like
Mhm.
pretty awesome fighting moves.
She does a good job with taking out bad guys despite being a non-bender. I'll say that she does a pretty good job. Um, but yeah, I just am obsessed with the concept of pro bending, like professional bending as a sport. Like it looked so cool. Like every time in another reason season 1 is the best season because like every other episode just be like, all right, this is just going to be an animated ESPN episode where it's like we're just going to show pro bending, and I was like, this I would watch this professionally, like get real people doing this.
Yeah, pro bending, it was a lot of fun. At first, I thought it would be more like boxing,
Hmm.
and it's actually like kind of like dodgeball.
It's more like dodgeball. Yeah, it's really cool. And then I just thought it was so cool that like, cause like Sokka and Katara are like just like village people, like and they were on Team Avatar. So seeing like professional athletes on Team Avatar, that was like a really interesting concept to me. It's like these people are like really good at bending. Like they do it professionally, and also it's just a cool sport.
Yeah, yeah, those were always fun episodes.
Hmm. It was pretty fun. I don't know why Tenzin hated it, but Tenzin hates everything.
I did not know that Tenzin was J.K. Simmons. Like I kept thinking that voice is really, really familiar, and then one day I ended up just looking it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stupid. I should have known that.
Mm. It's really funny to me that it was J.K. Simmons. How do you feel about Aubrey Plaza?
Oh, okay. I had to think about who she was.
Yeah, right. I was like, when I found out she was in the show, I was like, oh my God, Aubrey, like April O'Neil is in, or April Ludgate,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
she's like the princess from the North Water Tribe,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, and she's really intense. Eh,
Yeah, that I that kept confusing me because I'm like, she doesn't seem like she cares about him at all. She just wants someone to boss around, and
mhm,
then when they break up, she's like super angry.
mhm. She like almost lets her personality come out. I thought it was just really funny that Aubrey Plaza was like, yeah, I'll be in Korra, whatever. Uh,
Yeah, perfect voice for that type of character.
it really was, I would say, yeah. Um, there's one more before we get to the elephant in the room and talk about Korra for a bit. I just want to get your how happy were you seeing Uncle Iroh come back in the spirit world?
I was not expecting that, and that was like one of the better. That was the best like time that they tried to reach back to like
Hmm.
mention Avatar.
I will say, like, as much as I don't like season 2, you do get all the callbacks. Like, that's where Zuko makes his cameo is in season 2, or that was season 3, wasn't it? I don't remember.
He's mostly in season 3, but he might have been like in a clip or two of
I
season
think he
3.
has a cameo in season 2, his first one. Zhao the Conqueror shows up very briefly, which was a really fun callback to season 1 of Avatar. I was like, ooh, that's a deep dive. And then Iroh came back, and that was so pleasantly unexpected.
Yep, and he did his usual Iroh stuff.
Hmm. It's like, oh, just spewing advice. Uh,
Yep.
Now I can cut this. He passed away, didn't he? So that must have been like outtakes they used, I would
I think it
imagine.
was a different voice actor. Let me
Oh, okay.
because I think yeah, they had a wait, no, that's General Iroh. Uncle Iroh. Yeah, they had a
Yeah, it
different
was a
guy.
it was a different guy. Oh, okay. I guess his impression was so good it fooled me. So I guess that's nice. But uh, yeah. Uh, did you like? How do you feel about General Iroh? That was interesting, wasn't
At first, I thought it was Zuko's son, and I was so happy.
it?
And then I found out that it was his grandson, and I was a little disappointed that Zuko did not name one of his kids Iroh. And maybe he did, and that guy named his son Iroh. So it's
I
like
see.
Iroh Jr.
I have the headcanon that is just like every generation until the end of time. Like, hi, I'm Iroh the Fifth.
Yeah, and like to me, it just seemed like a missed opportunity. They easily could have made General Iroh older and made him Zuko's son. And like to me, that just has a lot of meaning because like if there's anyone that is like Zuko's actual dad, it's Uncle
Hmm.
Iroh, and Uncle Iroh was always there with him even during the tough times. And
Yeah,
so I was just surprised that he didn't name his kid, but his son
yeah.
named it Iroh.
The choice to have, I think it was just like we're gonna make him the grandson so he can be the same age as Korra kind of thing, but it was still really weird. Um, it was interesting that it was the same voice actor as Zuko. It was really mind bending. I was like, oh my god. So it's like they just want Zuko's back, but he's not.
Yeah, and that's especially what made me think it was his son. And I had to
Hmm.
like keep listening to see if they ever mention if he's the son.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a bit trippy. And then I was really yeah, just speaking about like callbacks, Toph in the woods, you know what I mean? That was also another like jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my god, Toph's alive.
Yeah, I thought her in the woods. I thought that was really funny, and it fit her character, like what
Hmm.
she's established in the past. You're like, yeah, that's about right.
Hmm. I just wish Sokka was there. That was a little disappointing. Um,
Yeah, you get like one clip of him, I think, in season one, in like
hmm.
the council from the past.
Yeah, there's a flashback and he has like two lines. I was like, this is all the Sokka we get. You brought physically every other character you brought back. Well, I guess except Aang, but um,
Yeah, well, he kind of had to be dead.
yeah, that's true. He had to be dead so the series could live on. There's no like Infinity War team up going on, though that would be pretty baller.
Yeah, I'm assuming that since there's no like evil ruler at the beginning of the series, like ruling over everyone, that Aang died peacefully, not in combat.
Yeah, that's interesting. They never say like how he died, did they?
Because I feel like if he was killed in combat, like it wouldn't be a nice little peaceful, well, relatively peaceful. Like you'd kind of have
Hmm.
like a Fire Lord situation. Probably
Hmm.
not as bad, but
Yeah, that's true. Like if he was killed by somebody, it would definitely be like a villain. So I think he just died peacefully,
yeah.
especially yeah. But anyway, well, now we can get on. I guess just get your overall impressions. The entirety of the internet hates Korra. So I just wanted to know, did you think she was that bad, or do you think it's kind of unwarranted? What were your thoughts as a character and stuff like that?
I don't think that she was that bad. That my biggest issue on her is like her personality doesn't fit her bending style.
Mm, okay,
And they
elaborate.
well, like to me, she's very like impulsive,
Mm-hmm.
and she lets her like emotions overcome her sometimes. And to me, that seems like it would more be fire. And I think they mention that they kind of changed the some of the lore when she's trying to learn earth bending, I think, because earth bending is supposed to be hardest for airbenders to learn, and waterbender and firebender are opposites. But they told her that because her personality is different, it was hard for her to learn earth bending or something like that.
Airbending.
Airbending.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So it was
because
still like the wrong two connections.
yeah, no, I get. Once again, I didn't even think of that. The lore has changed. It's always hardest to learn the opposite element, which is why it took Aang like a season to learn earthbending. Yet Korra is a waterbender, so it should be hard for her to learn firebending.
But
But
that was like her easiest one.
yeah, like she was born with the ability to like firebend. She had trouble with airbending because it was the previous thing. It was all messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that she's that bad. Uh, she is not like Aang, which I think is what they were going for. Like Aang is very like I'm not gonna kill
Hmm.
anyone, I'm not gonna hurt anyone unless I have to.
Hmm.
And she is more like let's go get them. They're the bad guys. They're going down.
Hmm. Yeah, I got her character right away. It was like she's headstrong. That's the whole point. Like Aang's whole character was like I'm hesitant. So her whole character is I'm headstrong. But it became uh I don't know. I never had like I never had a problem with her. I had a problem with like the stories she was in, I guess I would say, like season 1 and season 4. Like I never hated her specifically. Um, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that she's a terrible character. There's definitely some worse ones in the show.
Uh, like who?
Oh man, you're gonna make me think of what the kid's name is. Why
Do
can't?
you? Oh, the Tenzin's son.
Yes, I cannot stand him. What's his name? Milo.
Uh, ooh, the anger, the rage.
I'm gonna get hate from one of my friends if they ever hear this, but I cannot stand Milo.
Who likes Milo?
I have a friend who just watched like Avatar and Korra, like starting a couple months ago, and he like loved Milo.
I hate Milo so much. It was like this kid is like cringy bad, and then he never got better. He got like worse.
Yeah, in season 4, he literally fart bends.
He fart bends. Yeah, like season like he is super annoying. He like is like endangering everybody. He's so annoying. And then season 4 he becomes one of the bending teachers and he becomes worse, but now he's your boss. So it's like it got so much worse. He never got better. It would have been like I'm an airbending coach now, so I'm going to be responsible. It's like no, I'm going to be worse and you have to listen to me and I'm going to fart bend.
I know, I know. The first time I saw him on screen, and I was just like, I'm gonna hate this kid every single time he's in an episode.
Oh god, and I did. And I did. Yeah, his daughters were okay. They should have just stopped at 2. Like Tenzin had 2 daughters.
Yeah, and they were able to still have like good sibling, like quandaries between the like. It was always the two outside children, and then the middle child was the one that was always like seeming to get picked on.
Mhm.
Can't
Mhm.
think of names right now though.
Uh I don't, yeah, those daughters kind of blended together after a while, but I get what you mean. Um they had baby air bison though, which was pretty cool.
Yes, they did. Those things are adorable.
I've never wanted an air bison calf more than like it's so huggable. You could hold him. He was like so small, so small
Yeah,
and tiny. Hmm.
it's literally like a dog,
Yeah, like
but it's
air
a
bison
baby.
sized. It's a baby. So good. I didn't hate. Oh God, I haven't seen it in like a year, so I'm blanking all the names. Korra's animal I thought was okay too.
Naga.
Yeah, Naga. She was okay.
Yeah, Naga is not any Appa.
No, I was like, how's Naga? Is it, are you a Naga or an Appa? Because Naga's just like a giant dog.
Yeah, and like Appa, I think it's different because with Appa you get that whole storyline of him being lost, and so you feel like so much worse.
Oh my God, if they would have been like, all right, we're gonna do Naga's Lost Days now, like, oh my God, I think couldn't handle it twice.
Yeah, because she had some time without Korra.
Did
When
she?
yeah, when Korra almost dies
Mm,
in the storm,
mm-hmm,
like Naga is still I think back in Republic City.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, but she wasn't kidnapped though. It's no like,
Yeah,
heart
yeah, she was just
wrenching.
doing her own thing, probably chilling at the house.
Yeah, like she was pampered the whole time, not like Appa in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh God. Um, one of the one of the things I think was most interesting to me, I didn't hate it, it was interesting, was it's established many times through Tenzin's stories and all of his siblings that Aang was a terrible father, which I don't think is actually that bad of a storyline because if you think about it, Aang did not have a childhood. He was like he came out of a coma and had to be the world's savior. So it would kind of make sense that he never learned how to have a childhood and to be a good father. but it was also frustrating because they're like, we're gonna kind of rub some dirt on this character that everyone likes. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense on like why, and like especially I was Tenzin the oldest or
No, he's the youngest, I thought.
okay, I couldn't remember.
Because
But
Boomy's pretty white-haired, you know.
yeah, so like especially like that was their last child who finally got airbending,
Hmm.
and he was probably just so excited to like get airbending back to being what it was that he pushed away his other children really.
Hmm.
And um did Tenzin have a huge issue with Aang? It was
No, that's the whole thing.
he just
It's not until Boomy tells him that he was the favorite that Tenzin realized that he got the good childhood and the other two did not,
yeah,
which
so I
was
think
yeah.
once he got that like airbending child, he was just so focused on like bringing airbending back that
Hmm.
he just kind of forgot about his other children. One of them turns into an airbender, so
Oof. Yeah, they all turn into airbenders eventually, so I guess it all works out. But
yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, that was interesting. And then, as I said in preparation, while we were talking about the Last Airbender in the last podcast, I think Korra goes on to continue that Toph is a terrible character because Last Airbender, she's super mean to everybody and never gets redeemed. And then Korra comes along, and it's literally like, I made my daughters hate each other, and then I just bailed to the woods. Don't you love Toph?
Yeah, and she's a terrible mom even before like that whole situation took place. She's just never there, and I don't know if that's because her parents were like super protective of her. But she's
Yeah,
always just focused on being the police chief, and she's never at home.
I was always on the fence with not liking Toph, but then Korra, when she was literally like, I'd rather be in the woods than like, be a good mom. I was like, Toph is never like a good character.
Yeah, she's very selfish, and they make that clear in Avatar, and it definitely carries over to
Hmm.
uh, Korra.
It's not even like I'm the police chief now, so I care about everybody. It's like I'm the police chief, bow down to me,
Yeah,
kind of
you're
stuff.
gonna make my reputation look bad, so leave.
Yeah, so figure it out, daughters.
Yeah,
It's
she,
cringy. Yeah,
she at least gets redeemed a little bit,
a little bit. Yeah,
not much.
not as much as I needed
Yeah,
to like the character, but it is what it is. I guess the very last thing I'd like to talk about as we wrap up is well, the live action show has that Netflix is making, and it's going to come out. Has Seeing Korra changed your opinion on the live action series? And then one thing I want to mention is the showrunners, the creators of the first two series, have just recently left making the live action series. I guess the conditions were not what they wanted. So the live action series that's going to come out is not even like their vision. It's going to be an adaptation.
yeah. I think I was super excited for the live action just because, like, the special effects nowadays can make it good,
Hmm.
and especially with the original showrunners having the creative control, at least
Hmm.
back when that was the case. I
Hmm.
was pretty excited for that. I was thinking that maybe you'd get that fourth season of Avatar with Zuko because they know that that's something that the fans would want.
Everyone's been asking for it. That is like the most ripe content. Like you ended season three on a cliffhanger, and you've just decided to never address it. You instead made a sequel that's like 30 years later. So yeah.
Yeah, and we know Netflix would pour a bunch of money into it. We've seen them do that with a bunch of other shows that they think will do well.
Hmm.
And so it would be like well supported, but I think it's just really disheartening to see like initially they agreed like the initial creators will have the creative control and they'll have kind of like that final say.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason why they left the show was because they didn't like where it was going creatively,
Mm-hmm.
and that they couldn't control that. And that was just really like kind of heartbreaking, because you know that if they're in it, it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
At least parts of it will be.
It's at least gonna like have that Avatar flavor. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be their vision.
Yeah, and I like the reason why they left. It makes me a little worried about it, because if they don't like where it's at, like creatively right now, and they don't like where they think it's going, to where they didn't think that they could fix it, that makes me a little scared. Yeah.
You, just prepare for something that's gonna be the live action Last Airbender, but as a TV show.
Oh god.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, because that was like, oh God, yeah, it's not going to be good. The live action Last Airbender movie is one of the top worst movies ever made on some lists. So, real happy that it's going to just expand it into a TV show. Uh,
Yeah, I'll still watch at least to start, but if it starts going downhill, I don't know if I'd be able to keep watching.
yeah, I'll watch the pilot, maybe the trailer. If the trailer throws me off, then maybe. Well, with that said, is there anything else you would like to mention about the show that we didn't talk about at all?
Honestly, I think we covered everything that I
Yeah,
can think of.
all the punch points, all the hot topics that we needed to cover. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a wild ride. If they ever make a sequel series to Korra, you'll see us again in in episode part 3. But with that said, thank you so much. Wave goodbye to everybody and cut.